Hello viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series, and it looks like we've got Colossus Aggro versus Gruul Aggro. Gruul has a pretty good start here, Attune with Aether, Long Tusk Cub, Zardia 3-3, Arlen Cord. Not something you typically see in Gruul Aggro, but, you know, no reason not to run her. She's an incredibly good card. Fits in color, and, you know, straight up right there, turned his Long Tusk Cub into a 5-5 Vigilance. And he uses energy to turn it into a 6-6. So Colossus is already down to 11. He's got a 4-4. Arlen Cord is still out. And most likely, he's not going to be able to do anything about Arlen Cord. Now, Colossus isn't in the worst position here. He's got Prophetic Prism and Cultivator's Caravan. That's 5 total. He's got 4 mana here. Hedron Archive. Well, he's still got 3 more mana left. Next turn, easily, he can throw down Colossus. You know, 4 here, 3 here, that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 from tapping the Hedron Archive. Foundry Inspector. Artifacts cost 1 less. Okay, so at the very least he has a chump blocker here. Because theoretically, since this is Gruul Aggro, he could go in with lethal this turn. You know, buff spell basically of Arlen Cord. Ooh, Galvanic Bombardment clears the way. Well, this is gonna hurt. Or not. Long Tusk Cub, but it does give Vigilance and Haste. Okay, so he's got a 5-5 and a 4-4, buffing that one up to a 6-6. So that's 10 damage. He came up just 1 damage short. He did have 1 card in hand, which unfortunately for him wasn't anything that he could use. Blossoming Defense, for example. I mean, when you need 1 mana, it doesn't matter which buff spell you have, as long as you can play it. But this is last chance for Colossus here. And the big problem he has is the fact that he has 2 creatures. Now, the good news is that he has 2 Sanctum of Ugins. So if he can drop 1 Colossus, then he can play a 2nd or even a 3rd. Ooh, Deadlock Trap. Not a fan of this card, and honestly, in this particular situation, I think that's kind of a waste. But, you know, it's 3 mana, so now he can throw down Colossus without having to tap for mana. So, there's 1 Colossus, he's popping the Sanctum, grabbing another Colossus, and popping the 2nd Sanctum. It's taking him a little while. Elder Deep Fiend. Okay. I was wondering, you know, this isn't that hard to decide, you know, Colossus or something else, but there's Colossus number 2. And we know he has an Elder Deep Fiend in his hand. And he can cast it thanks to Cultivator's Caravan being able to tap for a color of mana. I mean, it would mean that he'd have to sacrifice a Metalwork Colossus for it. But he is somewhat safe at this point. It would take quite the buff spell for Gruul to get through here. He's got 2 cards in hand. Unfortunately, he does, you know, one of these creatures isn't Electrostatic Pummeler with, you know, a bunch of energy to use. That would be the easiest way to get through double Colossus, because, you know, he would block that, and then you'd be able to get through with something else. Let's see. Make a wolf token, and it flips. Okay, so he's making the wolf token. He needs, at this point, he needs to go wide. Because it's one life. All he needs to do is get through with a single creature. And, you know, the flip side of Arlen's +1 ability, +1/+1 and trample into the end of turn, not bad. 3 damage to target creature or player, never mind. So this is it. Because -1 and 3 to the face. Crewing up Cultivator's... Oh, I know. Okay, I see what he's doing. Crewing up the Cultivator's Caravan so that he can sacrifice it instead of a Colossus. But I have to admit, I'm not really seeing... Oh, now... Okay, never mind. This is end of turn. Sorry, guys. So, Elder Deep Fiend, he's tapping down all of his creatures. So that means when he untaps, he would have 2 10/10s to swing in for the face. Man, that was actually an incredibly close game. That came down to exactly 1 damage. If Gruul had just had 1 buff spell of any sort, he would have won that game. Well, aside from Built to Smash, because he wouldn't have had the red mana to play it. But, you know, these two decks are very evenly matched, provided things go smoothly for both sides. And I have to say, I applaud the use of Arlen. You know, you don't see her very often, and she's a very good card. It's just, you know, she's never really found a spot in Standard since she's been printed. So, let's go to game 2. Okay. You know, the best start that Gruul can hope for. First turn, attune with Aether. Oh. He's playing with blue. I'm not sure why yet. Okay, Servant of the Conduit. Now, Servant is a really good card. You know, it's often underestimated how good this card is. I mean, most people, you know, it's just, okay, 2 mana for a 2/2 mana dork. Big deal. The thing is that it gives you 2 energy, which you don't have to use for the mana. It's a 2/2, so, you know, you can swing in with it. And then if you do need the extra mana, you know, like, say you need an extra green or red, or in this particular instance, blue, you know, 1 energy fixes your mana. Lathnu Hellion. Now, that's the great thing about Lathnu Hellion at this point is, you know, he got 2 from Attune with Aether. The Harnessed Lightning killed off the Servant before he could use any energy, so that was another 2. It came into play with 2, so he had 6. So the Lathnu Hellion is going to be able to swing in at least 2 more turns unless he has a better use for the energy. Foundry Inspector. Not the kind of creature that you're going to block with at this point because, you know, bringing down the cost of your artifacts is kind of a big deal in this deck. Ooh, Arlen. Now, 6 damage versus 4 might make you choose to chump block here. But he doesn't. You know, 6 damage takes him down to 10. You know, he was at 16. So, you know, at this point, 6 damage really isn't that big a deal. But next turn, if he doesn't have a way of getting rid of Lathnu Hellion, you know, he might just have to chump block to stop the 6 damage. Because, you know, her +1 ability on this side doesn't give trample, which would be exactly what Gruul would want here. But he does have him already down to 10, and he's got 3 cards in hand. Now, Larger Than Life would give him +4/+4 and trample. Arlen would give him another 2, so that'd be a 10-10 trample. And then 2 cards left in hand. You know, it's possible that he has lethal next turn. Oh no. DC'd. Okay, so we'll pause the video and wait to see if he comes back. Well, unfortunately he didn't come back, so Gruul conceded. Damn, I was really looking forward to that second game. That first game was just so close. I just really wanted to see a second game and see how it turned out. Unfortunately, we get the first game. And sorry if this video isn't up to snuff for you guys, but, you know, that first game was so good to me that I'm going to post this anyway. So, unfortunately, Game 2 was not what we wanted, but that was Colossus Aggro versus Gruul Aggro. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I will see you in the next video.